Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All Guru Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to today's Bhagavatam class. This morning we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, verse 44. And the chapter is entitled Maharaj Parikshit Cursed by the Brahmin Boy. We are in the discussion where the father finds out and he comes and not very happy with his son and gives him knowledge. And this is the part that we are going to continue hearing. We're very happy to have His Holiness Candramauli Swami with us right in the US. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you and Srila Prabhupada Maharaj. And so nice to have you within the same continent, Maharaj.
I'm even earlier than you are this time.
Yes, Maharaj.
Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. And it's all yours, Maharaj.
Thank you. My obeisances. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Taradhyana papam upadya anvayam yanastasya vaso vilumpakat parasparam ganati sapanti vrinjate pasum striyartan purudasvayo janaha. Translation. Due to the termination of the monarchical regimes and the plundering of the people's wealth by rogues and thieves, there will be great social disruptions. People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. And for all these sins, we shall be responsible. Purport. The word na, we, significant in this verse. The sage rightly takes the responsibility of the Brahmanas as a community for killing the monarchical government and thus giving an opportunity to the so-called Democrats who are generally plunderers of the wealth of the state subjects. The so-called Democrats capture the administrative machine without assuming responsibility for the prosperity of the prosperous condition of the citizen. Everyone captures the post for personal gratification, and thus, instead of one king, a number of irresponsible kings grow up to tax the citizens. It is foretold herein that in the absence of good monarchical government, everyone will be the cause of disturbance for others by plundering riches, animals, women, etc. Umagyan Timiranda Syad Gina Salakaya Chaksam Militamina Pasmai Shri Guru Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutalaya Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvase Sasundavari Pastyapya Devi Satarine Panchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Pe Bacha Pakitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasavi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here it's being foretold what will happen when there is no authorized, qualified monarchical government. People say today that monarchy is impure, and therefore we need democracy where we can have a group of people who will make decisions, and that way it'll be more of a opportunity for people to use their voice. But what we have today is that because the people are not directed by proper leadership within the society or within the community, within the family, or within the nation, everyone steps up to get some power and some position. And then you have chaos. And then, so democracy, as Srila Prabhupada called it, he called it demon crazy. A group of people with wrong intentions come to get positions, power, posts, supervision over others in order to rule. First of all, even if they are good intentions, they're not qualified. So actually, that type of government, what we see today, if it was actually successful, there wouldn't be any crime in the society. There wouldn't be any exploitation of, as it says here, women, animals, people's riches are being plundered by exorbitant amount of inflation and taxation in order to keep big, top-heavy governments, fully supplied with all of the wealth they need and want. So, and people are not happy, that's for sure. But monarchy is ideal in the sense that if the person is qualified, then everything goes on accordingly. So the idea is to make sure that the monarchy is qualified. We have the example in the Bhagavatam of King Vena. Vena was a king. It was a monarchical system as it was throughout the Vedic society. But of course, he wasn't following religious principles. And because he wasn't following religious principles, he also pushed the Brahmins out and wanted to become, as he said, I am actually God, should worship me. And he was very powerful leader in the sense that he had influence. And because of that, he was able to completely destroy all opportunities for people to commit crime within the society. So there was no crime. But still, it was his despotic leadership, which wasn't honoring religious principles or benefiting the citizens in general. And of course, the Brahmins, who were also very powerful those days, got together and performed a yajna. And by that yajna, they killed him through the power of their yajna. Brahmins could do that. And they replaced him with the results of the yajna. Later on, a person appeared. That was Pitu Maharaj, who became a saintly, was a righteous king. He was actually a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the point here is that monarchical governments are ideal when the person who is in there is ideal. And if you keep a succession going from monarchy to monarchy, and everyone works according to that, then there can be no negative influence that can come into that decision, that succession. So here, because that's no longer accepted, or what we say, people think it's despotic, but it's not. Nowadays, you have so many problems, and you see the results here. What is being The Bhagavatam is actually prophecy in many of its statements. It deals with all aspect. Prophecy is there also. So you're seeing today what has been written and spoken about thousands and thousands of years ago. We have this problem that people are being exploited. We might even add one other thing: plundering riches, animals, women, and children also. Children are being captured, abused, sent to other countries for prostitution. Society is really quite polluted, and crime is everywhere. From the smallest persons within the society all the way up to the top, where there is leadership, which is based on nepotism and various other criminal activities, using their power to position to exploit the citizens. And this is, you see that here. This began right in this particular pastime. This is right at just after the time that Krishna had disappeared from the planet. And then Kali made his move. And he did it through this, what we say, what's the word? Impudent and very ignorant Brahmin boy. His father was a great sage, finds out what happens, and he's overwhelmed. And you'll see a series of statements that he makes, prophesizing now what will happen to the world in general without true monarchy anymore. And so Kali made its move here. So unless there is good government, people will suffer. Prabhupada talks about this quite often, how people are not qualified to elect good government because they are not qualified to understand what is good government. Therefore, there has to be spiritual and material education based on these principles. And we don't see that in today's society. And therefore, you see Bhagavatam deals a lot with politics. Politics in the form of saintly rule. That the king is a representative of the personality of Godhead. It is understood that the king is empowered by the Lord to rule, and he keeps what we say, a set of ministers who are his advisors, and they advise based on Vedic uh, principles. The Vedas deal with both spiritual and material subject matters, not just spiritual, but they connect the essence, which is the goal of the Vedas is, as Krishna says, Vedanta Vedanta Vid Eva Chaham. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, that the goal of Vedic knowledge is to know me. Knowledge is to surrender to me and ultimately know me. So therefore, today's society is, we can't even call it secular because secular is a nice word. It's more demoniac, I think. It is ruled by persons who are malicious and have personal agendas. There may be a few good people in there, but they can't do much because of the way the system is set up anyway. Just like when President Kennedy, this was back in the 1960s, went against established government that he was ruling, he could see there was an undercurrent in the government to go around his orders. They were making their own policies separate from him. And he saw that and he exposed that. And when he exposed that, later on, he was no longer alive. He was killed. And that's documented in some books that were banned in the United States, but later appeared in Europe. And now even in the United States, this truth is coming out. What Kennedy actually tried to do, he was actually a good leader. He was somewhat righteous. I can't say he was, following devotional principles, but he had a very strong sense of humanitarianism along with the ability to rule properly. And so when Prabhupada was approached about, of course, when ISKCON first began, we started this party called In God We Trust Party. And it was an opportunity to take the podium and propagate Krishna conscious principles in the form of canvassing for position in the government, in other words, president. There was a great opportunity for preaching. It was very effective. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada saw that as our society was growing, he was seeing that after learning American politics and seeing how corrupt it was, he stopped the whole thing. And then we gave up on that. And then the devotees later said to him, Prabhupada, if we get somebody in there who's a good person, then that will be beneficial. Prabhupada said no, because even if they get into power, they can't do anything. They'll either be marginalized, or if they're too influential, they'll also be killed. So you see that today. The governments around the world are ruled by the demons, pretty much, who have no agenda for exploitation. And it says here, they cause disturbances to people by plundering their riches, animals, women, and I would add even children. So this is today's, and of course, animals are being killed crazy in countries around the world, and therefore because Prabhupada makes this point that any living being that's born in a particular land becomes a citizen of that land. It's not that just human forms are citizens. The word praja in the Veda means anyone born in that particular land should have the rights that the government gives accordingly. So animals also have rights. I was just recently hearing that there's one lady, she's propagating the idea that animals should also be considered to be regular citizens within the country. So this is, of course, this is actually in line with Vedic understanding. But animals have no rights, and people just take advantage of animals. They turn them into some personal pets for their own, sense gratification, or they kill them and use them for various ways to make money, especially selling meat and various other um, byproducts. Now, this is today's society. It's quite upside down. I was just hearing on the talk, there was in one area of the world, there was so much corruption that was going on. And so the government got really um, concerned and wanted to try to stop this corruption. So they hired more and more uh, agents to stop the corruption, police officers, and nothing was successful. The corruption continued, and the added forces just became a burden on society. They had to pay for them. And then one person who was a little bit smart, he brought in two dogs, and he said, "I can train these dogs to stop all of the corruption in the society." So they let him go, and they used it. And these dogs were able to flush out all of these criminals and bring them forward where they would be able to be arrested, and everything was back to normal again. So some of the leaders in the government who had used the police to do it were kind of astonished that these dogs were able to do it. So they said to the man who was the owner of the dogs, "How is it that these dogs could do it and our whole police force couldn't?" And the man said, "Well, these dogs don't take any bribes." And that was the response. These dogs don't take bribes. So you see how even the so-called leadership and the forces that are supposed to become lawful forces are actually just as corrupt as the rest of the. There's criminals trying to uproot other criminals, but they're also criminals. So this is today's government society. It's like that everywhere. I know in one country around the world, I'm not going to say where, they're firing a lot of people who are police officers because of that, because they found out that they're taking so much bribery that crime is going on and nobody's happy, and the police are not doing it. So this is Kali Yuga. And here we see the introduction of such deviations in actual monarchical rule, which simply due to the downfall of the Brahminical class. When society is not guided by religious principles, they create their own principles, and everyone takes advantage to create their own ideas, and pretty soon you have so many ideas on how things should go on, but they're all fighting for position, power, and wealth. And this is mentioned here also, wealth. So welcome to Kali Yuga, Hare Krishna. The solution is, of course, Harinam Sankirtan. Yoga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan is the way to purify the atmosphere and to push back the influence of Kali. Everywhere around the world, when there is the holy name, there is great power, there is great auspiciousness, people become happy, people become purified, and the atmosphere becomes free from all of this, what we say, uh, criminal type of activity, which is everywhere in society today. So you can see from Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is not just making some statements. Everything that you read in Bhagavatam, at least that is somewhat prophetic, is happening today. As you go through Bhagavatam, you'll find so many statements, along with Srila Prabhupada's commentaries, just to predict the future of how Kali Yuga will continue to degrade more and more and more. So it is the duty of the devotees to really try to push back the effects of Kali Yuga by inaugurating the Harinam Sankirtan movement in a very powerful and direct way. Prabhupada began the movement with Harinam everywhere throughout the United States. And when Harinam was there, everything was coming in. People were, we didn't have any books at that time. We didn't have much money or facilities. But by the power of the holy name, he created so much facilities, wealth, influence, support, and gradually temples have started to open all around the United States. One after another, after another, after another. And then when book distribution actually came in about 5 or 6 years later, then it even spread even faster. So this is the formula. Otherwise, we will see the effects of Kali will continue in today's society, where people will be harassed more and more and more. And as the Bhagavatam says, as people become more sinful, the earth will withhold. And Prabhupada talks about the Durdesha, and I forgot 3 words he said. There will be no milk available. There will be no rice available. There will be no what else? He mentions a few other things. Wheat, because when people become so sinful, the earth starts to restrict. And when the earth starts to restrict, people are in scarcity. And when scarcity is there, and then there's calamities. So this is Kali Yuga is on the rise. But the formula is Harinam Sankirtan all over the world in a big way. The way Prabhupada began it in 1965, 66, started it. Prabhupada was out in the Tompkins Square Park with a little tom-tom drum. We had no mridangas. We didn't even have a temple. All we had was a storefront. And he was chanting in the park. And you can see people came. And devotees were dancing in the park. And that was the beginning of Harinam Sankirtan. And gradually things just grew and spread everywhere. If you read the early Back to Godhead magazines, you'll see they're simply full of accounts of Harinam Sankirtan in different cities around the world. That was the majority of the subjects that was given illustration in our Back to Godhead magazines. Harinam in different places around the world. So this is the formula. We just came out of a 4-day program here in Dallas with Sadhu Sangha devotees came. There were 3,000 devotees who participated, and there was kirtan going on from morning to night, along with book distribution and nice, wonderful prasadam and a nice association. And it was a great opportunity to really connect with so many devotees around the United States and refortify and re-emphasize our mood of preaching Krishna consciousness around. It became a good opportunity for devotees to connect with each other in different places, to make plans to continue to spread Krishna consciousness. And wherever there is a Harinam Sankirtan, the whole area benefits. And when it's pure Sankirtan, when it's frame Sankirtan, the whole world benefits. Sankirtan is our life, and it is the Yuga Dharma that's given by Sri Mahaprabhu. Okay, I'll stop there, see if there's any discussion.
Thank you so much, Mark. It was such a wonderful class, and really hoping that there'll be good questions because this is a very deep topic. But then again, it's something that we all face every day. So I'm going to stop sharing and going to ask devotees to please do turn on your videos wherever possible. And if you're able to please do so. Please do raise your hand if you have a question, or you can put it in the chat and I will be happy to read the question to Maharaj. Maharaj, one question that I have, and from the verse, the second line, Prabhupada says the sage rightly takes a responsibility of the Brahmanas as a community for killing the monarchical government, thus giving an opportunity to the so-called Democrats. And because we know that's what we are in right now, Marge, in this kind of a situation, so what can we as devotees do can we do anything?
Yeah, Harinam Sankirtan. And more or less try to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's vision for the development of our society, which is happening more and more now as devotees are becoming more aware of the need, and that is to pull back from our connection with the secular society. As long as we are plugged into the secular society, we're supporting it in our activities. We depend on the society to give us whatever we need. So Prabhupada wanted us to become self-sufficient, live closer to the land, farm communities, more varnashram dharma, like that. City temples, he said, would always be there, but we should also have places for our families so they can live a more natural and free, and all more time for Krishna consciousness also. That's the social aspect of the development of our society. The spiritual aspect is to just continue to distribute books, preach, have programs. Like some places I go, I notice there's only programs on the weekends. And other places I go, there's programs every night of the week. So why should we be in the places, well, on the weekends? Why should we be just a weekend warrior? You have programs every day. Devotees should go to Bhagavatam classes every day, whether it's online or on site, either one. Read the books. As we become stronger in our spiritual life, we have more of an effect to it and to bring others to Krishna consciousness. Study Srila Prabhupada's books. All of these things will strengthen our Krishna consciousness. And individual strength also brings community strength. So it builds community also in a stronger and more effective way. But from my observation, we're too much plugged into the Western culture for jobs, for education, for everything like that. And at the same time, we're practicing Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada didn't really want that. He said, that's just a stage. We have to get beyond that and set up everything. Have our own schools for kids. Create employment within our society. I mean, how much can you pull back? It has to be a gradual thing. Eventually. We're supporting cow slaughter by buying milk and the dairy industries. We're actually supporting cow slaughter because those cows that the dairy, the commercial dairies, they take those cows after some time and they sell them to the slaughterhouses. So yeah, so our social fabric as far as a society is not really developed. And that's where Prabhupada is very visionary in helping us get a vision on how he gave us not only the idea, but the practical way by which it can transpire into a foundational program. They're in Prabhupada's books and his instructions, and there's many leadership. I'm in here in Dallas, right after we finished the program yesterday was the last day. It was a half a day. We went to an area in Dallas where the congregation got together, and by their own volition, they raised enough money, bought some land. Now they're going to build a temple. They got 7.5 acres of land, and they can build a temple. They can also have agriculture and various other things. So that was, we came to see the land. Myself, HH Swami was there, and what's another person was Pratavajit Maharaj. Also, the three of us went to see the land. We met the devotees, and so they have a vision. They have a plan. They even showed us the plan for the temple. It's already designed. So now they're going to start beginning the process of finalizing all of the work and soon beginning the temple. So we can have temples all over. The devotees in Grand Rapids, Michigan, they're also doing a major temple there. But things are spreading slowly. And this is what we need. Temples with communities that surround the temples, where the temple becomes dependent on the community for its livelihood. We can do it. It's not like you just have to run to a farm and milk a cow. That's not the whole thing. They set up a community in a more of a rural environment where you don't have to be so much plugged in to supporting this demoniac civilization. That's all it is. It's just demons. Prabhupada used the word constantly. He said it's just, he called democracy demon crazy. That's what he called it. Just a gathering of demons, just fighting for, to who can exploit more. They fight amongst themselves too. It looks nice from the outside, but if you go in, it's like an apple. Sometimes you buy an apple, it looks nice and shiny and red, and it's nice and big. And then you buy it and you open it up, it's all rotten inside. And this is our society. It has a nice exterior piece of presentation, but inside it's all corrupt. And I'm not just I'm using words. I'm actually seeing how these things happen day after day when through different experiences that I have with devotees and others. So yeah. So so basically the answer to your question is we have to strengthen our own Krishna consciousness.
And Marge, as collectively, because the key word that I'm seeing that's catching my attention is the word Brahmana that Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, that, as practicing devotees, we should really take to the holy name more seriously, which is going to strengthen our Krishna consciousness. Right, Marge?
Right. That's the foundation. If you want to build a building, the strength and durability of the building is based on the quality of its foundation. So as you establish the foundation, then you can build on it. But when if the foundation's weak, whatever you build on, it may also be subject to, being destroyed easily. And foundations, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord in the association of devotees. Satam prasangam mamavirya samvidobad bhavanti rikarna rasayana pita. And it goes on in this verse describing that here's where bhakti begins, hearing and chanting in the association of devotees, the glories of the Lord. And we call that sadhana, but actually it extends itself actually to be sadhya too. It's both sadhana and sadhya. Service is in between, and sadhya means the goal. So to hear and chant the glories of the Lord really culminates in becoming absorbed in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. There's those who chant and those who just chant, and there's those who are actually tasting the chanting, and those who are chanting and getting ecstatic symptoms in chanting. So it's the same chanting, but different levels of consciousness based on going deeper and deeper into the process of bhakti. Going deeper and deeper really means to read Bhagavatam, study Bhagavatam, understand it, learn how to apply it, come together with devotees and have as many programs as you can.
Thank you, Marge. That's
And we develop a culture within the society where it goes beyond the immediate family. It's our social environment is only within a few people within the family and a few others, and we really haven't developed in the spiritual life because ultimately the devotees are our family. That's the real thing. And we include our family members within that and make them also devotees. So as we strengthen our Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting, Prabhupada emphasize following the regulative principles, chanting the rounds, and hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam, worshiping the deity, and it also adds living in a holy place too. Living in a holy place means the temple is a holy place. So if you're living in the temple, you're living in a holy place. You can create a holy place in your own home in the sense that you bring the Lord there and you worship the Lord. You follow very carefully the principles for worship and your own practice of Krishna consciousness. The home becomes a mandir. It's no longer just a place to take care of the bodily necessities of life. Now devotees are distributing Bhagavatam sets on the street. There's one devotee in Atlanta who distributed 46 Bhagavatam sets in one day on the street. 46. That's over 5,000 books in one day. He's empowered. He's in Atlanta. And he's also training up other devotees. And this is going on in different places around the world also. Our congregation is actually starting to become more and more involved in a real way. I saw that in Sadhu Sangam in the last 4 days. I met so many people from different places around America. And many of them are all now starting to get involved more with Krishna consciousness. They're realizing they got everything material, but still they're not giving enough time to their spiritual life. So that's starting to become more and more. So we have to see Connect with the devotees in your local area, work together, and spread Krishna consciousness. Right now, it's something we do. Pretty soon, it's going to be emergency. It's society's going there. Hang on, you're going to see things happening around the world. We're on the brink of World War III. It's really the opposition forces are lining up in the Ukraine. You know, it's there. You can just all you have to do is just check the news, not the main news, the real news. It's heavy. The situation in the world is really heavy. The only solution is Krishna consciousness. There's no other solution. Nobody has any solution. So anyway, it's not that I'm just saying these things just to make people, get nervous and feel bad. It's just Prabhupada was talking like this since he began, how to spread Krishna consciousness. So this is our society. He didn't want us to become so much dependent on the secular society for everything.
Thank you, Marge. Really important points for us to really deepen our Krishna consciousness. And Marge, you made a point also, by deepening our Krishna consciousness, we have to be hearing Bhagavatam every day.
Yeah, that's foundational. That's part of that going deeper into Krishna consciousness. Bhagavatam's the essence. If you take all of the knowledge, there was a nice lecture given by Bhanu Swami. He takes it step by step. That ultimately, Vyasadeva came. There was the four Vedas, but still, he broke the four Vedas down into. He was the one Veda. He broke it down into four, and then from that, the Vedanta Sutra, and then from that, the Brahma Sutras, and then from that, Srimad Bhagavatam. So the essence actually comes down to Srimad Bhagavatam as the essence of all Vedic knowledge, condensed. And then he takes it one step farther, the chanting of the holy name, which is a personification of all the knowledge in Bhagavatam, because it's non-different in Krishna. And Bhagavatam is also non-different in Krishna. Unfolding the holy name means to unfold the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness. What do I mean by unfolding? That simply reading and studying is nice, but the essence is the Harinam Sankirtan. As Lord Chaitanya has said, Vidya Vadu Jivanam, that transcendental knowledge gets life by the chanting of the holy name. Those who simply are scholars and don't chant, they can't really go into the essence of the practice of devotional service. We need these two, Srimad Bhagavatam and Harinam. So in your temples, start classes where you can teach people, like in the evening programs, and teach them Bhagavatam. Or you can start with Bhagavad Gita. Have classes during the week. People will come, and then as it continues, and more people will come. When people are educated and they start to experience Krishna consciousness, then they want to do something. And then they want to reach out and kind of spread Krishna consciousness. It's just a progression of our own development. But if people are not understanding the knowledge and how to apply the knowledge, then how much can they help? So it's, yeah, it's, the essence is, there's a nice verse. What was his name? Mukunda Dutt gave a class yesterday, last class, a beautiful class based on uh, first canto, second chapter, verse number 15 or 14. 14 or 15. Well, turn to that verse.
March, first canto, second chapter, verse 14, you said, Maharaj?
I think it's 14. Yes.
Okay. 1 to 14. Okay, I'm going to share that now.
I think that's, let's see. It might be 15, but let's, I think it might be 14.
Is that
Yeah,
it, Maharaj?
yeah, let's see. Therefore, with one point of attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. And go back to the previous verse.
All right.
O best among the private, it is therefore conclude the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging devotional service. But this discharging prescribed for one occupation according is to please the personality of Godhead. Then it goes on. The next verse is sequential, the one we just read. So here's how to please so all ashrams, all varnas should do the next thing. What's this? The one we just read previously. Go back to that next verse again.
14, Maharaj?
Yeah. Yeah, and here it is. Therefore means continuation from the previous. With one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the Father, who is the protector of the devotee. Then go to the next verse. And what is the reason? And how do you do that? Here's the one he said. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work by remembering the personality of Godhead. This is the
1
verse.
to 15.
Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? So these verses are sequential. So those who are actually intelligent, they cut through all of the attachments of material knowledge with transcendental knowledge. It's like a sword. So one who comes in contact with this, well, who will not hear the messages of the Supreme Lord? And then the next verse is how everything starts to develop on an individual basis. This whole second chapter, Mukunda Dutt was saying the devotees should learn the whole second chapter. He said if you learn that chapter, you pretty much got the essence of all the Bhagavatam. This chapter here, it's first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Go down to the next verse, verse number 15, I think. 16. Oh, twice born, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gets an affinity for hearing the message of Bhagavatam. So applying your knowledge to engaging in service to the great souls. And by doing that, as it says here, great service is done, not just service. And what is the result? You become attracted to hear the messages of the Lord. It becomes something that you look forward to, just like we look forward to eating our favorite foodstuffs. When we hear that it's today we're going to get that foodstuffs, which is my favorite, we just count the seconds till the time for the lunch. So So we get eager. So that eagerness is aroused by the message in this verse. By serving great souls. That means devotees, pure devotees. Next, and then what is the result of that? Is the next verses. These verses are Sri Krishna, the personality of God, who is Paramount in everyone's heart and benefactor of truthful devotee. One who's now eager to hear, he cleanses. Krishna does it within the heart. He cleanses the devotee who's developed an urge. That word urge is important. Not just wants to hear, but a very strong urge to hear his messages, because those messages are virtuous. And then what's the next one? This is the one, all these verses are sequential. By regular attendance in the classes of Bhagavatam, here you go. And this verse is key. And by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is completely, almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is an established as an irregular fact. Regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam, regularly hearing and the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam. And what is the result of this? That almost all material knots are destroyed in the heart, and one is almost on the platform of pure devotional service. Still, it's not complete. Then the next verse goes. The next verse is, as soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desiring, hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes happy. So you can see how these verses unfold from one level to another, each including the previous verse with an experience that one has as they continue to hear and chant the glories of the Lord and serve the pure devotees. Then the next verse. And then, thus established in the mode of goodness, when one gets to the mode of goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotion and service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Now one is established, they're free from the effects of lust, anger, greed, and all of the other qualities, and make up the two lower modes. One is established in goodness, engaged in devotional service, attains knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead, and freedom from all material entanglements. Then the next one. Thus the heart and the night is pierced, all misgivings are cut to pieces, the chain of fruit of action is terminated, and one sees the self, that means you, the soul, as the master. No longer the mind becomes the master, but the soul becomes the master. The mind takes the back seat and assists the soul in bringing self-realization to the living entity. So yeah, Prabhupada included these verses when he came on the Jaladuta. He wrote these verses. It's in the prayer, Markine Bhagavad Dharma. And then the next verse, I think there's one more that comes with this package. Okay. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, this is more or less a summation of the previous verses. Yeah, so it stops at verse 20, I think. But this whole chapter is really powerful.
Maharaj, I have, well, Rather than me asking a question, I think I've asked three. I'm going to see if other devotees would like to ask a question before I ask mine. Are there any questions from devotees? Please do raise your hand. Or you can put it in the chat and I'll be happy to read it. It's powerful verses, definitely worth, definitely making time to read that. Okay, I think it's safe for me to ask my question. Marge, in one of the verses that we just read, it says, hearing Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotees. And one might say, but I'm not a pure devotee. So rendering service and then we, at least in my, Kali Yuga material mind, a pure devotee is someone who's a spiritual master, a sannyasi or guru. So does rendering service to devotees in general count, Maharaj?
Yeah, but one also should take shelter of the pure devotee. That's where we get shelter, and that's where we get guidance and directions. But one should serve all the devotees, because all the devotees, we don't even know who is who. We may see people by their service, but that's not the indication of their purity or their lack of purity. Service is not the indication. Oh, but they and may have some what we say indication, but it's not the actual way to tell who's a pure devotee. The pot washer in your temple might be a pure devotee. But what this verse is saying is this pure devotee spiritual master. Because in that purport it says person Bhagavat and book Bhagavat. Person Bhagavat is the spiritual master, book Bhagavat is Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yes, I did read that in the purport. Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
But a devotee, because the devotee is inclined to service, they also see that the other devotees are objects of their service also. And the essence of bhakti is to serve Krishna by serving his devotees. But in that service of the devotees, the pure devotee has to be included. So when we get a taste for serving the devotees, we'll also find it easier to take shelter and serve the pure devotees also. We should be looking for that pure devotee to take shelter of. We call it, generally it's the spiritual master.
Thank you, Marge. Really, really thank you. Powerful. Thank you. Any questions from devotees? I may have hit my target of questions because I don't want to take it over, but please do raise your questions. Any questions? It's a lot of food for thought. Amazing topics, holy name, Harinam Sankirtan, the foundation of our Krishna consciousness, and this amazing chapter that, Maharaj just went through. Good. Enough number of verses that we have to go back and read and study. The importance of hearing, and the more we hear Bhagavatam, we go deeper in our chanting. Lots of food for thought for us to meditate on. Any questions from devotees?
Everything in Krishna consciousness is connected to everything else in Krishna consciousness. It's not that each individual activity is an entity of itself. It's all connected. But the thread that comes through everything is the chanting of the holy name, which connects everything to everything. Quality of our chanting is the quality of our understanding of the philosophy, our services, everything.
They're all interrelated.
Yeah, so you can't divide spirit. Material life is duality, where things are divided into categories. And sometimes the categories are opposite each other's, which are quite often. But in spiritual life, everything complements each other if it's done according to how it should be done. In other words, following the process. We may see it distinct, but that's a limited vision.
Marge, there's a question in the chat from Mother Scarlett where she's asking, may I ask, how long after initiation do one give classes?
She's talking about, well, that's a general. People can give a class, they're qualified, but classes in the temple are given by initiated devotees. So the temple has a certain protocol of for allowing certain people to give classes according to, the qualifications for giving classes. The initiation doesn't mean I'm a class giver now. It's not the idea. So she's asking on Zoom. But before you can give a class, you have to be able to hear from your spiritual master and those qualified and learn. You can't just think, well, I have good academic intelligence, I got a PhD, I got a good position, I'm intelligent, and therefore I can speak for Krishna conscious philosophy. No, that's not. One has to hear from the books, from Prabhupada, from the spiritual master, from Krishna, and learn the art of preaching. Preaching is an art. You were also hearing that in yesterday's class. Preaching is an art. Because you'll get questions, get challenges. How you deal with them will be how much you learn the art of preaching. How you answer the questions, how you bring people closer instead of pushing them away by the way that you respond to how much you know of the philosophy. So yeah, you have to know the philosophy to preach. Not initiation is just a stage where one becomes more sheltered in their practice of Krishna consciousness and guided by the pure devotee. The commitment is formulated in initiation.
Thank you, Marge, for clarifying that. I remember Vishwagata Prabhu mentioning in one of his classes a couple of years ago that initiation means beginning stage, initial.
Prabhupada said that.
You. Mm-hmm.
Said it practically every time he gave initiations, he said it. Before then, you're practicing to begin. It doesn't mean you're not making any progress. You are making progress if you're following the process. But then the mercy manifests in a very direct way when one takes officially the shelter of the spiritual master. But anyone can make progress at any stage because the 9 stages are understood in terms of progress. Adao strata, sadhu sangha. So faith leads to association devotees and the practice of Krishna consciousness. When the practice of Krishna consciousness develops to a certain level, then one becomes inclined to take shelter of Krishna's representative, and that's the 3rd stage. So at any stage, one is making progress. But if they stop, don't take initiation, then they sort of put a check on their progress. They may stay within the boundaries of devotional service, but they don't really make real advancement because they can't get through the stage of anartha nivritti without the mercy of the spiritual master.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Any questions from devotees, please do raise your hand. You can jump right in if you want. Go ahead, Mataji.
Who is that?
Tirtha Kirti Mataji. I think she was saying something, but I didn't catch it. Didn't catch her. Okay. If there are no questions, Marge, would you like to end with a round of chanting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody asked a question today.
Yeah, I don't know if I overloaded with my questions. I'm sorry, Marge, if I did.
Hey, Davey, what happened? You're like, it's like
I'm
this.
like a deflated balloon here, Gurudev. After leaving the wonderful association of devotees at the disciples meeting, and then in the wonderful, wonderful yatras that I visited, Slovenia especially, I come back here and I'm in acute withdrawal symptoms now.
Okay, get back out. Get back in action. It's all around you.
I need to
Mayapur,
plug in.
the devotees have programs every night in Mayapur. There's programs every night.
Yeah, I need to get out, Gurudev. I've been jet lagged and very tired. So I haven't been really able to step out. I think tomorrow I'll be able to get out.
SNM, aviso de inundaciones repentinas.
We got flood warnings here in Dallas.
We sat some couple of days here to March, but I didn't hear anything major. So, yeah, we had some warnings here too in Pennsylvania.
That's because I'm here. I always bring the rain.
Marge, as they say, the rain is showers of blessings. So you're bringing the showers of blessings with you, Maharaj. We need that.
Yeah, but you know, the place is flooded now. Nobody can do anything.
With the well, I think also March because in Dallas they had the Sadhu Sangha retreat with all the powerful, entities, personalities of Sri Prabhupada disciples. It just brought all the mercy, flooded the whole Dallas with mercy.
Well, the thunderbolt hit here and it was like I thought it was going to hit the house. I was so close.
Whoa, it's really bad. Wow.
Now, right, it's calmed down now. Everything is stopped, but that was at the beginning of the program.
Wow.
Before that, it was torrential rains. Started this morning. As soon as I started chanting japa, it started. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, the demigods are doing something.
Indradev is very active today for some reason.
Overactive.
Overactive, overactive, and reactive, both of Krishna.
Okay, I'll get my beads and be back.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. I have a very tight schedule. I think you do also, so I only can do like maybe one round.
Sounds good, Maharaj. Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. I finished 16, so this is 17.
Thank you, Maharaj, for tolerating us to do one round together.
Well, you know, it's still the more you chant, the better. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Oh, Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Ram Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasati, Gaur, Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful class, and thank you to all the devotees for joining us. Vanchakaptibhyascha, Kripasindabevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His Holiness Chandramauli Swami ki jai.
Jai.
Srimati, do you want to make any announcements?
Sorry, Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna, my humble obeisance to you all, rest assured, Prabhupada. I'm sorry, I think I don't have any announcement, Guru Maharaj.
Tomorrow's class is it's an hour earlier for me, right?
Today we started at 7 a.m., right, Guru Maharaj? So that the same time we are going to follow.
You said 6 tomorrow, or is it 7?
No, 7. This week, because you are in Dallas now, so the time it will be 7 a.m.
7, so okay. And how is it? And that's 12 o'clock UK. No, that's 1 o'clock.
p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. So
1
I already informed devotees. That's why today they joined at 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Hari Bol. Have a wonderful day. Hari Krishna.
Thank you, Anasuya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hari Krishna.
Prabhupada,
Thank
Hare.
you.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru
Thank you,
Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Mohini.
Hare Krishna.
Namrata, Hare Bo.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. I'm Amritanam Guru Maharaj now.
Huh?
I'm Amritanam Guru Maharaj now.
What did I call you? Namrata?
Yes.
Maharaj.
Yeah, I'm suffering from some slowness in them right now. Okay.
Maharaj, is
Hare
that aging process, Maharaj?
All right. Yeah, we have to go forward here. Now I'm Rita now.
Haribo.
Sono, Haribo, thank you for being here. Susanna's here. We got the two sisters from Indore, Manisha and Shakshi.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the beautiful class.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Manisha, Shakshi.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Okay, we'll see you. We'll be here tomorrow. So. Hare Krishna. Glories to
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.